Hey, you guys, good morning. I didn't bring my little headset this morning, so I don't know if you can hear me. Hopefully you can. I was just recognizing that our beliefs about ourselves are so persistent, you know, and many of us, and myself included, sometimes have questioned, why have I sabotaged myself? Why have I held myself back? Why have I, why is it so easy for me to see the beauty in others and not see it in myself? And if you can relate to that, and then, we watch we watch how that manifests, how with the alcoholic and the addict, how ego will persist to keep us either, in the grips of our disease or even in sobriety, will persist in keeping us small, if you will, and not living our full potential. And, living in fear, living in anger, living in resentment, And so our beliefs about ourselves start, when we're really, really young. And I know that, this borders on therapy when I talk like this, but it does. It starts when we're really young. Something happened, I believe, in my opinion, and we have set the tone for our whole lives. And unless it's arrested, unless we really see it, and we wake up one day and we say, I'll do anything to change or to awaken to who I really am, then we just live our lives out like that. And many, as you know, I work in the recovery field a bit, and helping people, and most of us just die young, often young, or we end up being miserable old men and women, who are still drinking into our 60s and 70s, and not much fun to be around. So, and not much fun for the individual either. So we're stuck a bit. We're trapped at many levels. We're trapped in our ego, in our idea of ourselves, and there seems no other way to get out of this than with the help of a power greater than ourselves. And that's where, the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous have worked for so many, because we had to absolutely surrender. We had to be totally defeated. Totally defeated. We couldn't hang on to any idea of ourselves that had us still being able to run the show. Totally defeated. Some of us had to lose everything, and end up literally, on the street before we woke up. But the illusion is persistent. It is so persistent, that we can somehow, some way manage our lives. And for the alcoholic and the addict, and most of us who have this shift, we recognize somewhere along the line that we can't. We have to change our whole mode of operation, our MO, modus operandi. For me, what the change was is I realized finally, after my last business debacle, that I still was trying to run the show. So I didn't drink and I didn't use, but I was still trying to run the show, and I just had to let it all go. I had to surrender. I had to say, okay, God, I get it. I give up. And in that came an awakening, came a moment with, I don't have to run the show. All the teachings that I've had all these years were telling me that, but I persistently hung on to this idea that I could. And, but for me, it doesn't work. So the life I live today is a life of, I get up in the morning, I do my prayer, I do some meditation. Life seems to be like a meditation. I'm in this moment most of the time, and I tell my truth, and I have more courage, and so it's a beautiful way to live in this moment, in relationship with a higher power, each day, each moment, to be present. And that's where God is in the moment. We can't find God in the past or in the future. Right? And, yeah. So, anyway, that's it. Hope that makes some difference for some of you. And I just recognized that I had to finally surrender. So you may not be in as tough a situation as others, but over looking at our life and blaming our circumstances for our demise or how we feel, then we know we're off the beam. When we think it's his fault or her fault or the kid's fault or the government's fault or the illness's fault, then we're off the beam. Everything comes back to us. It starts with us. When we awaken, when we recognize that we have to surrender in each moment now, it starts to change. It really starts to change. Everything, we can let it all go, literally. And life will be born again in a new way. I risk saying that, born again in a new way. And nothing that's going on around us has any power anymore. It only has power if we give it power. So today, in our little book, the 24-hour day book that I'm enjoying reading, I'm going to read this for you. Now, Allison wrote something, we ultimately are accountable for our own happiness. Of course, yes, but saying that's one thing. Living it, if you ask, how do I live that? That's what I want to try and help people with, is how do we get into this moment? How do we be here now? Because that's where the richness is. That's where the beauty is. That's where the joy is. It's not, in the saying. It's not in the, although, the cliches and everything are important because it points towards what is. But how do we get to this moment? How do we be here now? Yeah. And I think that, I want to, my imagining is that I get to surround myself with people who want that. Yeah. Okay, here we go. July the 5th. And this is really 12-step based, but it works for everybody. The 12 steps are just these amazing steps or actions towards an awakening, towards a real awakening. That's what they are. It isn't just about drinking or drugging or not drinking or not drugging. Those are, some of us were fortunate enough to have that in our lives, and, made it impossible to live with, so we had to surrender. And many of you, your life is not that bad. So, the expression is, well, it's not that bad. It's good enough, keeps us really in mediocrity, in just eking out a life, when we could be living in our full potential. And so, yeah, I encourage you to, our full potential is in this moment. It's not through taking another course. It's not through, learning another skill or another strategy. It's in this moment. So, my goal is to help people to find their way to this moment, to this relationship with the moment, with God who's in this moment. Here we go. Till we came into AA, most of us had tried desperately, it says, to stop drinking. Do you know anybody that's tried desperately to stop drinking? We were filled with the delusion that we could drink like our friends. We tried time and again to take it or leave it, but we could do neither. We always lapsed into ceaseless, unhappy drinking. This is for you this morning. Isn't it amazing? Yeah, we all.
Say my name, but yeah.
Yes. No, it's a secret. Anyway, we always lapsed into ceaseless, unhappy drinking. Wives, mothers, families, friends, and employers threw up their hands in hurt, bewilderment, in despair, and finally in disgust. We wanted to stop. We realized that every reason for drinking was only a crazy excuse. Have I given up every excuse for drinking? Wow, that's the conversation we had, isn't it? Beautiful. And you can replace drinking with all kinds of things. You know, the next relationship, eating. Just, you know, it's just so many things that we do thinking we can, you know, mask the pain. Meditation for the day. Many things can upset you and you can easily get off the track. But remember that God is near you all the time. He is you. Everything or nothing. He's so near. He's right there. He's here in this moment. Ready to help you if you call on him. There's the key. Prayer, man. Pray your ass off. Call on him. No man can forever stand against God's will for him, nor can he forever upset God's plan for his life. Even though God's plan may be postponed by man's willingness and deliberate choice of evil. He uses the word evil. I'm not big on evil. I'd rather say ego, and fear. Deliberate choice of evil, or ego and fear. The whole world of man and woman cannot permanently change God's laws, nor his purpose for the universe. God's laws, nor his purpose for the universe. The sea of life may look very rough to us, but we can believe that our captain steers the boat on a straight course. Nice metaphor. Nice metaphor. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may try to steer a straight course. I pray that I may accept God's direction in my life's journey. It's beautiful. So that's the reading. That was written in 1954 by this, obviously an amazing fella who, you know, was had done the work. Yeah. So you guys, you know, you wake up on a Sunday morning, and, you know, and the question comes up. You know, sometimes we get just caught up in our busyness, you know, and it fades away. But the question comes up, you know, why am I unhappy? Why am I fearful? Why am I angry? Why am I in complaint? Why am I judgmental? You know, it's because we're living by ego. We're living by our own wits. And for most of us, it doesn't give us long-term, we don't have happiness, glimpses of it, you know. So there's work to be done to get there. There's really just surrender, but it seems like work to be done. Okay, guys, love you lots. Have a great Sunday. And is it Sunday? Just Sunday. Cheers.